equals thousands in savings at the Roseville Auto Mall. Driven to be the best.
Kick off the year and say hello to fast and reliable internet from Xfinity for only $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And score 12 times the speed for the same internet price when you add Xfinity Mobile. That's incredible speed at an amazing value. So you can keep New Year's resolutions going strong. Plus, ask how to get $300 back and a 5G phone on us with Xfinity Mobile during the Xfinity Hello 2022 sales event. Don't wait. Go to Xfinity.com/sale. Call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Again, go to Xfinity.com/sale. Call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay. Ends 1/10/22. Restrictions apply. New Connect Internet 50 megabits per second customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. Compares Xfinity's Connect Internet and super fast internet with mobile discount.
Check out Smart and Vital. They deliver to Start hosting. You can shop online. Buy.
Sweeten up your new year with First Street Premium Ice Cream. This week, get 2 for $6.
Smart and Vital, one trip, and that's it.
It's time to spread game. The Harlem Globetrotters are coming with an all-new tour. 4 quarters of big plays, ankle-breaking moves, and ball-handling wizardry. Do they dunk? Do they dunk? See the stars rattle the rim in the all-new in-game dunk contest. This is the team everyone can cheer for. The Spread Game Tour is coming. Don't miss the Globetrotters in Stockton and Sacramento on January 13th and 17th. Go to HarlemGlobetrotters.com.
Because the year-end sell-a-thon is on at your California Ford dealers. New inventory is arriving daily. And during the year-end sell-a-thon, your California Ford dealers are giving you 2 big ways to get great deals. 1, come in today and drive home a brand new Ford with incredible deals only available during the sell-a-thon. Or 2, come in and order a custom Ford vehicle and we'll lock in these year-end offers right now. That's right, pick all the custom features you want and we'll lock in these year-end deals now on the Ford you've always wanted. During the year-end sell-a-thon, take your pick across the full Ford lineup and get the last great deals of the year on America's best-selling brand for 11 years in a row. Visit buyfordnow.com to see all the deals and the lineup. Then come and visit your California Ford dealers today because these deals won't last for long. The year-end sell-a-thon ends January 3rd, so come and see your California Ford dealers right now. Best-selling claim based on 2010 through 2020 consumer year total sales.
It's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just sure. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Did that?
Me, down here.
What are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
Well, what are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. Don't you remember me? Don't you know that we miss you?
Miss me? Who misses me?
You know, all your friends in the forest. The trees, the pond, that little fort that you made out of branches. We all miss you.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
I guess that makes sense.
This forest is not that far away. Have an adventure today. I'm sure your mom would take you.
You're right. I should get out. I want to have fun. Play in puddles, catch frogs, and climb trees. Hey, Mom!
Yeah, hon? Steven, what is that in your hand?
It's my sense of adventure, Mom. It's telling me we need to get out of the house and have some fun in nature today.
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org.
The Bible Conference at Bayside. Start off this year by getting God's truth into every part of your life.
Bayside's Bible Conference is absolutely free, featuring incredible Bible teachers, including Mark Clark, Megan Faith Marshman, and Francis Chan.
And yet what Scripture says is, The grass is going to wither, the flower is going to fade, but the word of God, the word of our God will stand forever.
Plus, over 40 breakout sessions for you, your teenager, and even your little ones to learn and grow deep. Bayside's Bible Conference, January 9th through the 13th. To get your free tickets, go to BaysideOnline.com. That's BaysideOnline.com.
Hill, we're giving you 2 big days of $5 deals to help you restock your kitchen after the holidays. On Monday and Tuesday only, get a tender USDA choice Rayleigh's top sirloin steak, California raised by Harris Ranch, for only $5 a pound. Or get 3 pounds of fresh, locally grown broccoli crowns for only $5. Limit 6 pounds. Discover these and even more $5 deals whether you shop in-store or online for contactless delivery or curbside pickup at Rayleigh's.com.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton at Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to people who love sports, all star and love awards. Rondo Deportes, Bienvenido to Vidi Vidi Vici. I love trying to mix in all these different languages, especially coming up for the holidays. You know, I want to say also happy Kwanzaa for everyone who celebrates Kwanzaa. I really do appreciate that. We just celebrated Merry Christmas here in the United States of America. But I always say, welcome to the show. Today's show is a beautiful December the 28th, 2021. And this show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, just tell them Charlton of Big C Sports sent you. Maybe they'll even give you a praise. If they might even let you drive one. If that, they can just everybody wants to drive a Cadillac. I mean, what was that show? Curtis Mayfield, though you may not drive a great big Cadillac, diamond in the back, sunroof top, digging in the scene with Big C Sports. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You can follow Big C Sports all around the world on 20 podcast applications, following Big C Sports Podcast. Also 4 TV applications. You follow Big C Sports. All you got to do is go to Google, Alexa, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, also GeoSavan Podcast. You can follow. I think I got to pause because right now I'm a little bit out of breath. Give me some praise for counting to 10. You try counting to 10. You think it's easy, especially after Christmas. Number 11, GeoSavan Podcast. Number 12, Podtail. You can follow Big C Sports on YouTube. You can follow Big C Sports on Hubhopper. You can follow Big C Sports on Stitcher, Radio Line, Repod Podcasting, Luminary Podcasting, Listen Notes, and also Podcast Wise. Give that some praise. You can follow Big C Sports on Podcast Wise. I want to give that some praise. I think I could use a Snickers. I need Snickers to sponsor Big C Sports. I'm a little bit melancholy today. Not melancholy, but a little bit. You're melancholy, tired, whatever it be. Snickers satisfies you. You can also follow Big C Sports on 4 TV applications with Big C Sports. Really do appreciate that. That's Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Give that some praise. I said give that praise. Big C Sports SB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. So that's why I love saying welcome to the show. Want to pay homage to my family legacy. On my mother's side, my great-grandmother called her a mamo, just a wonderful grandmother, great-grandmother, actually, the matriarch of our family. And then Pop, my great-grandfather, Pop, the patriarch of our family since I was born into the world, known for making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. Also known for saying, boy, get out of that barn. Get out of that barn right now. Now I know why. Also, my beautiful grandmother, Mud Diaz, she was a seer, wonderful person, beautiful, intelligent mind. Also, my grandfather, Hezekiah, really do appreciate the love and knowledge that they passed on through the years. My beautiful mother helped start a Head Start program in Northern California and helped win the Little League Championship of the universe. Give that some praise. I said, give that praise. Also, I want to pay homage to my mother who started a food program to help feed people and the community. So I really do appreciate that. Not only being the best mother in the history of the universe, also starting a Head Start program and a food program to help people eat so they wouldn't go to bed hungry. No one's ever been that blessed to do so many things for so many people. On my father's side, my grandfather, his name was Albert Curry, a former pastor, and had 2 churches in Northern California and Oakland, California. He built the 3rd one in Central California, also had a service station, 2 service stations in Oakland, California. Really appreciate that. Very intelligent man. And then my grandmother, Alberta Curry, she helped my grandfather with the churches, also with the service stations and making sure the family stays strong. One of the reasons doing Big C Sports now, she touched me on my forehead when I was 8. She said, there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. And really do appreciate that, even though I was shy growing up. And then my father, retired Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, made sure that planes could fly high, we could all stay safe at night. My beautiful brother Ty with his bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. And he would talk. And my handsome son, Malcolm, very intelligent, college educated kid. He's in college, really doing a lot of all over the NBA, since the NBA stats, knows the stuff inside and out. Really do appreciate that. Also has a great name of Curry to go along with it. My beautiful daughter Daisy graduated, very intelligent, graduated 3.5 years, 2 majors, one of the top minds in the college. I really appreciate her help as she would help me set up for sporting events when coaches came to the West Coast. Really do appreciate that. And then Big C with his wealth of knowledge. Give them all some praise. Give them all some praise, as I love saying, let's get ready to rumble. I love doing that with Big C Sports Podcast. There's also so many things that I'm really grateful for. ESPY-nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I will be in Los Angeles when they do the ESPYs coming up in 2022 for 2021. And I want to just say, I'm just going to say, what did Jimmy Johnson say when the Dallas Cowboys were playing the 49ers back in the playoffs? And he said, we're going to bound them, we're going to pound them, we're going to win the game. I want to win the championship. I really want to win that ESPY. ESPY-nominated Big C Sports Podcast. Put my show up with anybody's show. That's all I ask. And when they do the show, have them do it no scripts, no 3-way teleprompters, no producer in the air. Only do it with their higher self. Why ESPY-nominated? Through Disney Corporation. I produce. I direct all the topics. I broadcast the shows. I do all the sound effects that are provided by the agency. Everybody needs sound effects every now and then. And then I do the storytelling. The commercials are done outside of the agency in New York. And then I provide the stats. I do the storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. Steph Curry 4-3. You can hear all that in Northern California for the future NBA champion Golden State Warriors. At least they won 3 out of 5. Maybe they'll win another one this year. All fair and love and war. And then I upload the show to the platform. It goes out to 20 podcast applications all over the world. That's important. Up to 20 now. And that's before the new year comes in 2022. I know there's more opportunities that Big C Sports is looking at with the NFL Network, also the Major League Baseball as that rolls up, and then NBA basketball coming into 2022. Really do appreciate that. And it takes me back to something I've never missed a show since starting Big C Sports Podcast on September 10th, 2015. And it's almost like anything else in life. I love that speaking things into existence, as my pastor is always telling me, you got to speak things that be not as though they were. And one of my favorite verses in the Bible is Genesis chapter 13, verse 15. It says, for all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. And the book of James chapter 4, verse 2 said, we have not, because we ask not. If you want something, just ask and give the Bible praise. I said, give it some praise. You got to ask not. Speak things that be not as though they were. T.D. Jakes always says that. Really, I do appreciate every pastor that's always prayed over my life. And I want to say, too, for everybody that goes through something, the Veterans Crisis Hotline, they are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. It's also for civilians. You don't have to be a veteran, but it's set up for the veterans, but you can also get help as an individual. If you know anybody going through any type of garbage, COVID has wrecked a lot of people's minds. COVID, are you out of your freaking mind? COVID has made a lot of people lose their minds. People backstabbing each other, going to church on one day and then talking bad about somebody when they're outside of the church as if God doesn't hear that. Well, people need help, and I love giving help to our veterans. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and they will stand on their head to make sure that you get some help. I want to say, give our first responders some praise. I said, give our Veterans Crisis Hotline some praise. Don't just praise in church. Give some praise. I had a little story. I got a lot of pastor friends, so hopefully they won't get too mad when I say this. Oftentimes, every church you go to, they ask you to pay the tithe, kind of the Old Testament tithe. And they don't want the kind of tithe that makes noise, like change makes noise, money doesn't. But I ask everyone, do a trick on all your pastors out there asking for money to bless you through the new year. If it works for you, great. But every time a pastor asks you to pay the tithe, ask him to pay all of your bills. Yeah, that's a praise. Oh, see him don't do it. Come on, pastor, don't get mad. You know it's true. It's all fair level. I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, let there be light. Open your cell phone and say play Big C Sports Podcast, and it comes up all over the world. Try it sometime. The goal is to get 8 billion people to play Big C Sports Podcast. That would be nice. What a Christmas present. Also want to say very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly on TV. There's a real estate show that lets you see the preview of real estate properties. Really do appreciate that. Also, the nationalrealestatepost.com. You can see what's going on in your neck of the woods for real estate that's out there, and everybody needs to have your mind wrapped around what's going on in your neck of the woods. Also, the mortgagedailynews.com. That's mortgagedailynews.com. And you can really find out what's going on in the world of real estate. There's another program that I'm watching with the Big C team coming up in 2022. And I really do appreciate where it's going for $10,000 to $400,000 in funding. That's cash in your bank account. And funds can be used for any purpose: building up a business, starting up, real estate investments, repairs, renovations, working capital, down payment assistance, and debt consolidation, student loans, etc. We're working with over 240 lenders that are waiting to fund you. There are some minimum requirements, just the 650 credit score and your W-2 for the last 2 years with $27,000 in income. No new credit lines open up in the last 6 months. And again, the 2 years consistent income. You get that with the Big C team. Really want to help connect people to more opportunities in real estate. And also for those who want to start a business, you get that with the Big C team. I'm really proud of that. And you can find out more if you want more information on that. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And make sure you give that some praise also. Come on, give that some praise. When the banks say no, think about the Big C team with 240 plus lenders want to help you win, getting the money you need. Oftentimes, as you know, there used to be what's called the Black Wall Street, where black millionaires existed. And oftentimes they were excluded from banking. Banking was primarily for white men. And because that was so egregious, and we know that shaped a lot of things that happen in society today. But the Big C team is also because some of that same type of ostracism that came up. And I'm glad it did, because now I have my own platform. And Title VII lets every person of color get funding for their business too. So give Title VII some praise. Signed in the 1964 Civil Rights Act by President Lyndon Baines Johnson, all fair and level war. I want to make sure that people get access to the funding. 800-772-8624, between $10,000 to $400,000 in your bank within 10 days if you qualify. Also want to say, for people in the sports betting world, I'm not a betting type. But I know a lot of people that call me and want me to put money up. I always ask them, can they bet the money for me, since they're so knowledgeable? And that's when oftentimes that they hang up the phone. But it's okay if they hang up the phone. It wasn't me the first time someone hung up the phone. But make sure if you're going to bet, don't bet more than you can afford to lose. That's a clue for a lot of people. I also want to say thank you to Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on your game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, you want to eat the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with all this exotic meat. I heard that it tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hands. As do most things in life, taste better in your mouth than it does in your hands. Where's the beef? Oh my goodness, 0% alcohol, 100% on his game. I also want to get in talking about a little bit of NBA basketball schedule as I come into the show for Big C Sports. Some college bowl games. Some more teams have canceled games because that's just the way it is. A lot of people have decided, because COVID has shown up, the Omicron virus, and everybody has their own thoughts about it, but it's not as severe as some of the first COVID wave that hit us in 2020. I still say talk to your doctor. But even the NFL, they realize it. I'm not saying that I'm a prophet. I wish I was. That's why I'm prophesizing $10 billion. And I do want to thank the prophet that spoke to me in church it was Isaiah 50, verse 7, that God already has a blessing for you so big that you won't be able to contain that. So give that some praise. I believe it being prophesied over. Those people cuss me out. He's like, I prophesied over. It's amazing how sometimes God moves people out of your life before the blessing shows up. But John Madden, some sad news for NFL fans and people around the world. Late legendary football coach John Madden passed away at 85 years old. And he's a broadcasting legend. Also, the namesake of the famed Madden video game franchise has gone on. And thoughts and prayers with the Madden family and everyone that he's touched over the years. I remember, when you think about it, the league expressed a lot of sad news, and even Commissioner Roger Goodell said in a statement this evening that he was football, an incredible sounding board for Roger Goodell and many others, obviously given a job by, when you think about Raiders coaching legend, Al Davis. And so that great Raider franchise has had so much of an imprint on football. Even the Raiders uniforms are designed after the military. And so John Madden, a lot of people got into the broadcast wanting to sound like John Madden, but it was hard for them to sound like John Madden. I remember they won the Super Bowl back in 1977 down in Pasadena. They had beaten the Minnesota Vikings, and that was Super Bowl 11. One of the most iconic figures in NFL history, and dominated as a head coach of the Oakland Raiders at the time, winning Super Bowl 11. Finished his career with 103 wins, 32 losses, and 7 ties. And when you think about what he was able to do over the years, he was a head man on the sideline with his broadcast partner, the late Pat Summerall, to break down NFL games for decades, and a lot of people tried to emulate that. John Madden's also worked aside with Al Michaels, who's now doing work for NBC. You know, do you believe in miracles? The great Al Michaels. So John Madden has worked with a lot of people. He was eventually inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2006. His popular boom, 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 as he would describe what players would sound like when you would tackle. And also, a lot of broadcasters still try to use that, but no one did it quite like John Madden. And he was just an icon for football. I think most well known for his association with the Madden video games. People wanted to be on Madden. And the casual fans, NFL players, and even coaches around the league, they'd play it. And the franchise, it became a franchise with that. It came out with a new iteration yearly, reportedly worth around $4 billion. And it's interesting when you think about it. Madden also gained fame in his career for his role as a pitchman. He hawked products like Miller Lite and Tinactin, fast-acting Tinactin for, fungus and whatever people have going on with them. He appeared in notable commercials regularly. He also survived by his wife, Virginia, and his 2 sons, Joseph and Michael. And, may he rest in peace. And just a wonderful world of football that John Madden was able to carve out for himself. And for a lot of broadcasters that are into the game to this day, they learned a lot about football and how to emulate John Madden. And for me, I got the chance to meet John Madden. I actually worked with John Madden when I first got in to covering the NFL. He was my first assignment with John Madden and Pat Summerall. It was at Candlestick Park on a Thursday night game, preseason game. At that time, the San Diego Chargers were in San Francisco at Candlestick Park to take on the 49ers. And I'll never forget how it was Mike Roig and Fran Morrison, broadcast associates at Fox Sports in Los Angeles, that may have a role for Big C Sports doing NFL football for 2022 season. Looking forward to that and partnering that with Big C Sports. But I remember it was Mike Roig who called me, and he asked me, could I be in San Francisco on Thursday? It was a preseason game, and I said yes. And so I reported to the TV trucks, and then Fran Morrison, I met him at the stadium, at the stadium in San Francisco, Candlestick Park at the time, and I was a broadcast assistant, Chiron assistant with John Madden's crew, and then I saw that I knew what I was doing, and they actually had me sit in the press box with John Madden and Pat Summerall, and I remember what I will never forget. They just had conversations. Oftentimes you see a football game and people are having their own thoughts about how to emulate John Madden and even the late Pat Summerall to this day. And people still do that to this day. They try to figure it out and what John and Pat would do. And I was about 10 feet away from both gentlemen, and I just listened like a sponge to absorb, like, how do these guys get to the top of the broadcast business? And what I do realize is it takes a history of being around the NFL and being around people who can open those doors for you. And that's what I saw, just being around them and realizing that John Madden, they stood up, as most broadcasters know. They have a chair, but they stood up during the game. They would stand up. It was at Candlestick Park that I first met them, and they would just look down onto the field, and they would call the game based on what they saw. And, of course, Chiron people in the back would send them information to let them know what was going on with the game and whatever stats they had to come up with. But there's something about just watching how they brought the game to the TV screen, and it made it seem like you were at the game with them. I'll never forget that, and how over the years, just learning from those two men, broadcast icons, broadcast legends. Isn't that something how God works? Because no matter what people go through, Big C Sports is part of that too, as well as working with Big C over the years as a broadcast icon himself, and seeing how people would do things. But something I remember just listening to John Madden and Pat Summerall, how they would do the games live, NFL football. And now I have my own press credential for every football stadium in the United States in the National Football League through Big C Sports. And that was back in 1996 when I was able to get into the Fox Sports broadcast booth with the best broadcasters in business, the late Pat Summerall and now the late John Madden. And again, I always thank Fran Morrison for allowing me to even come there, and Mike Roy. I didn't send out a resume to get in with Fox Sports. I was doing a broadcast with the late Tom Kelly, former legendary USC football broadcaster over the years. We were in Los Angeles. It was a high school football game with Texas versus California. And, of course, California All-Stars won. They said, man, you guys are a lot bigger and stronger in California. And then Tom Kelly looked around. I was spotting the game for him. He said, what do you want to do? You do a good job. He said, you do a good job, my man. What do you want to do? I said, I want to get in the broadcast. And that was it. On Saturday night down at Cal State Fullerton, on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, I got a phone call from Mike Roy at Fox Sports. And he said, hey, Charlton, this is Mike Roy. I'm John Madden's broadcast associate. And I was giving your name to a good friend that you want to work in broadcast. I said, yes. And he said, can you be in San Francisco on Thursday for the Chargers and 49ers preseason game? I said, yes. I didn't ask what for. And when I got there, he had me meet Fran Morrison. And from there, I met John Madden and Pat Summerall and their broadcast team. Met a lot of people over the years, from Al Michaels, Lynn Swan, just a lot of Collinsworth. Met Coach Gibbs when he was in broadcast. Met the great Pam Oliver in broadcast. She was on their crew at the time. Great Pam Oliver, still doing great work in broadcast. But that was my first meeting with John Madden. It wasn't based on resumes. It was called what my pastor just prayed over me over this weekend in church. He said, Charlton, there's a lot of good things happening for you. God knows what you're dealing with. And a lot of times people turn against you. And I didn't tell him what was going on. But a lot of people speak negative about you, and God knows who they are. But there's a lot of things coming for you. Just keep pushing forward. Keep pressing forward. Don't let anything stop you. And oftentimes, people let things stop them. But I got into this whole broadcast business by somebody opening that door. And I love saying it for other people too. It says, God has a plan for your life. You were born to do something very special that only you can do. God connects people through churches for the purpose that can serve his will. And he can bring forth a unique vision that can be undenied by anybody. He says, I encourage you to pick up the torch and pursue your destiny like never before. And I declare that you will never be the same again. And I just got some great news about Big C Sports. And going backward in life, I realized that people can give you something, but you still got to be able to do it. And the fact that I do this show all by myself, started with 5 people, now it's myself and the platform. But there's more and more opportunity coming as I'm standing on my own than with other people. And that's okay, because I'm a praying man. And I'm saying this for young people too, because oftentimes older people are set in their ways. But I want to say that for so many people that have sowed into my life, my mother, my father over the years, family and friends, brothers and sisters, children, spouse, everybody has, in life, you're going to find people who are on your team and people who are not on your team. You got to know who's on your team. Like, God hears the conversation that people have about you when you're not there, whether they're good or bad. God hears it. And oftentimes, people will put negative things out there in the universe about you when you're not there to defend yourself. And God hears that too. But don't let that stop you. And if you are an African-American man, history has shown, whether it's the Black Wall Street or getting into broadcast or television, there are people who rather see you fail than succeed. And you know it's true. So they can't do anything to you physically, so they'll cast aspersions against your name. They'll say whatever they can to get people to turn against you. But they're not a part of your ride anyway, so don't worry about them. They're not a part of it. They're not a part of your blessing. And so there are times when I was told by other people that said so many negative things to try to dissuade people from going. Almost every black boy in the school system, they've been held back or tried to be held back for whatever reason. That's part of the racism that's been a part of trying to destroy black families. It's even in the Kerner Commission. I didn't create this stuff, but I've seen it happen in my own life where people try to remove the black father out of a household or destroy his character or destroy him because they're weak. But God is my source, always has been. And so there's some things that have been said to me. I said nothing to nobody. But I want for someone listening to this, don't worry about people who jump off the ship. You just keep flying the ship like the Starship Enterprise to boldly go where no man has gone before and build whatever God has put into your spirit to build. And so I think that story coming together, and I also want to just say what I learned standing next to John Madden and Pat Summerall in the broadcast booth. And I'm still here. I'm still rising. I'm still going. And I will keep rising as long as God has plans for me. And you can too. It's all fair and level. We're going to take the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When I come back, we're going to talk about some more things that are going on in the NFL. In the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 20 podcast applications all over the universe and 4 TV applications streaming live with Big C Sports podcasts all over the world. Really do appreciate that. As I love to say, let's get ready to rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Are you ready for football? All that jazz. I want to come into Big C's NFL top 10 power rankings. As of this week, I'm going to start with the number 10 in Big C's NFL power rankings. The Arizona Cardinals, they're a little bit broken right now. Remember the song, Take These Broken Wings? Okay, I don't want to mess the song up, so I'll just say the Arizona Cardinals are a little bit broken right now. They're on a 3-game skid, and they average just 17 points per game, a team that was scoring over 30 points every week, it seemed. And for the first 2, the offense looked completely broken. Like, you ever see a Cardinal with a broken wing without touchdown maker DeAndre Hopkins where they moved the ball against the Indianapolis Colts, but they only made it to the end zone twice, and they went 1 for 3 on 4th down attempts. And I know Cliff Kingsbury is supposed to be the guru that's going to get this team to the championship, and only one team's going to win the Super Bowl this year. I started out the season saying the 49ers would win it, but now with Jimmy G having a bad thumb, and they have to try with Trey Lance now, doesn't seem that's going to happen. But it's all fair and level war. But you think about the Arizona team, they had a 57-yard scamper by touchdown maker Kyler Murray, and then the Cardinals struggled to run the football effectively after that. The Colts also did a great job to limit some of the explosive plays, especially in the passing attack, that can be really a touchdown maker for the Cardinals. They were flying so high, but now they've hit a 3-game skid. But again, the Colts did a good job stopping the explosive plays in the passing attack. Again, when you don't have DeAndre Hopkins, that helps. But Murray averages 3.4 completed air yards per attempt, despite having an average target of more than double figures of that. So they really shut down on his passing game. It's going to take a big collapse for them to not make the playoffs. But they've had 3 bad losses in the last 3 games. But I think they'll maybe just sneak in. But I don't know right now. Because without Hopkins, you see how hobbled they are. Arizona, if they miss the playoffs in the NFC with 10 wins, they will appear to be limping into the postseason even if they get there. But I know this is a team that I saw them come to San Francisco at Levi Stadium and run roughshod over the 49ers and beat them. I believe it was 31-17. They were up 17-0 in that game early. And now they just seem to be a little bit shell of themselves. I guess they've had their wings clipping. All's fair and level war. But I'm going to say, keep your hopes up. Keep flying high like Cardinals do. If that makes sense to you. Going to bring you to number 9 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. The Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals offense was legit last week. They needed to show some more power against the depleted the Baltimore Ravens team. Their defenses, they've been all banged up in Baltimore now. They did not disappoint. Touchdown Joe Burrow in that passing attack. They were about as good as you could be. And Jamar Chase got back in and get his groove back, if that makes sense. And T. Higgins also, they had big games against the Baltimore Ravens. But when I think about it overall, when you look at what Baltimore, they were unable to do, is to get honed in on Burrow. And which has been a continuous issue for Cincinnati since they selected him the first overall pick in 2020 in the NFL draft. Now, Cincinnati, they did not have their strongest offense, but they put up a lot of points. It's just Baltimore was damaged in that game, in my opinion. They were damaged good. On defense, Cincinnati didn't play the greatest either, but sometimes the game can flow. It can create a little bit of a different outcome. But I think when you have a quarterback that has a good day against a top 10 unit, that's what I looked at in Cincinnati, being able to almost just do whatever they wanted to do against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are just banged up. So was it a good measure of how good Cincinnati is? Probably not, but a win is a win, and you'll take that win when you can get it. So no matter what people think of Cincinnati, the only bad thing about them, unlike the days of Ickey Woods, where he had the touchdown and did the Ickey shuffle in the end zone, this team you just don't know. They're up one week, and then they're down the next week. So I don't really know how to look at them and how to measure them as far as being, well, they most likely will win their division. Baltimore's not going to win it, and Pittsburgh's not going to win it. And so we know that's the case, and we know Cleveland's not going to win it. So it looks like it's going to be Cincinnati. So I wish them nothing but the best going forward. All's fair and level war. Number 8 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings is the New England Patriots. They've been had the last 2 weeks. And for the Patriots offense, people think, what would happen if Mac Jones needed to throw to help them win a game? Because this team is built on defense with Bill Belichick and that Jedi Knight coaching that he does. But when you think about Mac Jones and being really outshined the last 2 games against Indianapolis and now against Buffalo, in the past 2 weeks against quality opponents, I'm not knocking at Mac Jones. He's a rookie. But think about what happened. Those teams put him in a situation to have to pass to win the game, not just run the ball at will. But the weapons failed him at times against Buffalo. Jones simply looked like he was a rookie that he is over the past 2 games. Even the greats have had their fair share of bad outings in 2021. But you give NFL coaches a chance to scout you and to see what you're doing, and they're going to find a way to come up with a game plan that's going to beat you. And that's what's happening to Bill Belichick the last couple of weeks. Looking at New England, that final game of the season is going to be down at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Remember, the Dolphins already beat them up in Foxborough early in the year. They got to go to Miami in a game that may decide if they get into the playoffs. Isn't that something? A team that was the number 1 seed just 3 weeks ago. And then the Jaguars in week 17 offer a prime opportunity to get right, and Jones could carry some confidence into the playoffs if he performs well against a tough Brian Flores coached Dolphins team in week 18. But I wouldn't put too much into the fact that Mac Jones didn't have a great game. He played Indianapolis, which just beat Arizona. And then Buffalo, that's a team with Josh Allen playing like he wants to be a Hall of Famer someday out of Fireball High School in Central California. Went to West Hills College in Reedley, I believe. Not West Hills, but Kings River College in Reedley. And now he's doing his thing. He went to Hawaii. What was he? I think he went to Wyoming. Went to Wyoming, did his thing in Wyoming. And now he's doing his thing for the Buffalo Bills. So, yeah, New England lost 2 in a row. But they lost to some good teams. They got to beat Jacksonville, if that makes sense to you. Number 7 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Buffalo Bills. When you think about how good they can be, this is a team also that was on the skid not too long ago. And then the defense made rookie quarterback Mac Jones look like he was a rookie, despite losing to Tre'Davious White weeks ago to a season-ending injury. Meanwhile, when you look at Josh Allen, he looks like that Pro Bowl quarterback that got the Buffalo Bills into the playoffs last year. When you think about how good he is, he's a runner and a passer. And he's a lot faster than people give him credit. The best player on the field at times. Now, I still feel that he needs to learn to be a pocket passer more than a guy that runs the ball down the field, because he does everything for that Buffalo team, like Lamar Jackson does for Baltimore. But he's still far from perfect. I've seen make some plays and make some bad plays as well. When you think about his toughness, though, he still needs to learn how to take a knee. You don't have to let people tackle you down because you're big. He's put the team on his back, going to carry them with that run game and the passing game. He's a run-pass option, a dual-threat quarterback that people don't like, but he's getting it done for the Buffalo Bills. And is not a team-leading rusher yet, but he might get there if he keeps running the ball the next 2 games. I think that could hurt them if he runs the ball more. They need him to pass the ball and trust your run game. The Buffalo Bills, they beat a really good New England Patriots team in a game that New England could have won also. But they put themselves in a position to not just make the playoffs, but even win the AFC East, which would make me eat a little bit of crow, because I said that New England would win the NFC or the AFC East, especially when they had about a 5-game win streak going. But it's just the way football. I love football. It's an amazing game. Ever since I was a little boy, loved it. When football players would come to my mama's house and she cooked spaghetti, and these big football players would eat it and then fall asleep and snore. It's all fair level war. Number 6 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Indianapolis Colts, the great touchdown maker Jonathan Taylor had 5 rushes of more than 5 yards against the Cardinals. He said, that's not big. Try running 5 yards against an NFL defense. Did it over 5 times. And his Indy's defense, it wasn't out stealing football from Arizona like when you think about the great Dora the Explorer. But Indianapolis, they needed Carson Wentz to be efficient and avoid mistakes. He made a couple mistakes, but the one mistake you don't make is when you turn around and you hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor. He's a touchdown maker. Reminds me of Marshall Faulk when Marshall Faulk played in Indianapolis back in the day with Peyton Manning. But they need him to play better and Carson Wentz to avoid mistakes, and that's what he did against the Cardinals despite missing multiple offensive linemen. But again, the Cardinals without DeAndre Hopkins, it just makes a big difference. It changes things. Now, the Colts probably, they want to compete in a track meet come playoff time. They run the ball, and their offensive line is very solid. They're an optimistic defense. Their rushing attack can carry them in January. If Carson doesn't make the mistakes that he's been prone to make, Carson Wentz has never won a playoff game. This might be the first year that he does. So only the Patriots and Chiefs have looked good in the past 10 games, in my opinion. And I like what the Indianapolis Colts have done, especially with their run game. They're an amazing football team, but it's just like college football. People want to see an undefeated team. Well, say they're undefeated, they must be the best team in the league. The NFL has shown you that's not the case. Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl last year by being a road team in their playoff games. They had to go on the road to get it done, and they were able to do it. So that gives me a lot of hope it's not about the best record. It's about the best team at the time that they're playing. So that's why I put them there. I want to say number 5 in Big C's NFL power rankings, the Los Angeles Rams. When you think about, man, there's a lot of animals in the rankings, aren't there? The Los Angeles Rams, touchdown Matthew Stafford, who's also never won a playoff game, is officially starting to make me wonder a little bit, just a little bit, because he's never won a playoff game. It would really elevate the Rams to the upper echelon of the NFL if the Rams can get into the playoffs and win a game with him. That would be his first playoff win. Isn't that something? The Rams are a tough team, though. I expect better production than I've seen from Stafford lately. I mean, he's making the $35 million, so he should do something. He's thrown 9 interceptions. 9 interceptions he's thrown just recently. Isn't that something? But he's not stopping his paycheck from coming in. And if the Rams see that in the playoffs, it might be an early exit. You don't want to see that. 9 interceptions in his last 7 games. It really looked like Sean McVay was trying to let Stafford try to win this game for them, but you can't put it all on him. In my thinking, when it comes to the NFL rankings, and you look at Stafford and how good he's been, they still have that great defense. They got Von Miller. They brought him in from Denver to be that outside edge rusher, and he can do that too. It's just a matter of how they hold up offensively. They got Odell Beckham Jr. They brought him in to make sure that they had a good receiver. Cooper Kupp's going to do his thing. These are some really good players that the Rams have, and they got to figure out what they're going to do with Stafford to keep him comfortable in the playoffs. He cannot revert back to that 9 interceptions in the last 7 games. That's not good for the Rams. That's good for every defense that they're going to go up against. So keep that in mind. The betting world knows it. And I know there's hope that the Rams will get into the Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium. Big C Sports will be there and February 13th down in Los Angeles. But I still think when you look at the NFC, you can't have a guy that throws 9 interceptions in 7 games. But it does look like, for the most part, I think the Rams, if they run the ball more effectively than they throw it, yet they keep leaning on Stafford because they give him all that money. And they got Cooper Kupp, but they got to figure him out. Because touchdown Jalen Hurts come under a lot of pressure for throwing fewer touchdowns than Stafford for the Eagles. Isn't that something? And Minnesota could have won that game. They didn't lean in the running attack against Minnesota. They should have, though. But it's all fair and level. Cooper Kupp is not the league MVP, but he's most certainly the Rams MVP, most valuable offensive player at this point. It's not Stafford. So you don't have to get Stafford to be the MVP of their team. Just some short passes, get some yards after the catch. I think McVay must keep an eye out for when the veteran quarterback leans back into his days of Detroit and let him realize, run the ball. People love seeing the quarterbacks that can throw 40 and 50 yards downfield. But most quarterbacks, they have look at touchdown Patrick Mahomes. Those 10 and 15-yard outs and the guys run after the catch, that helps them a lot. Number 4, Big C's NFL Power Rankings. How about them Cowboys? I'm telling you, this Dallas football team is so talented athletically, but will they have the coaching that lets them down again? The dominant half of football that we saw against the Washington football team on Sunday night, they gained 388 net yards of offense, intercepted Washington twice, scored 6 total touchdowns, and one half saw them lead 42-7. That's a college score. That was just at halftime. And it didn't feel like that's close. But I think the Cowboys, when you think, how about them Cowboys? You got to look at that offense that they can turn the lights on. Turn out the lights, the party's over. Maybe Danny Donovan when he sang that back in the day. But they can be an even more dominant team defensively. They're a complete football team. Touchdown Dak Prescott is the real deal. I know a lot of people don't want to give them credit for that. But I thought Dallas was showing you, if they play that way in the playoffs, then Dallas will be in Los Angeles with Big C Sports come Super Bowl 56. It's all fair and love and war. I'm going to go to number 3 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. The defending NFL Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They don't have Chris Godwin. There's no touchdown Mike Evans, no touchdown Chris Godwin, and no Antoine Winfield Jr. But that's okay, because the Buccaneers they are an amazing team. They're very talented. They're loaded. And they have this attitude that they played with when they beat down on Carolina. And when I think about this team, they're the only team with the depth and the completeness on their roster to have people get knocked out of the season and 2 high-end receiving weapons and a safety, and they're still rolling through. They're going to be riding dirty. What's that song? Riding dirty. They see me rolling. They see me hating. But they're going to ride dirty. I don't sing it the way the rapper did it. Riding dirty. They were riding dirty. You know, I say it because pirates are dirty. Every pirate's riding dirty. They're going to be sailing dirty. They see them rolling. They see them sailing. Don't you know they're going to be sailing dirty? Okay, give me some praise for that. Not riding dirty. Pirates sailing dirty. All fair and level are. So that's what you got for Big C's number 3. Now, number 2, and Big C's NFL power rankings. I'm gonna do it just because of what I saw them give it up on the run yards last week against Cleveland. I'm gonna say number 2, the Green Bay Packers. They're a very, very talented football team, and they have one big flaw. They give up over 200 yards rushing. You cannot do that in the NFL, because if you do, then you're gonna realize, unless you're Cleveland, you're gonna run the ball more. But Chubb got one carry. Had a 12-yard gain later in the fourth quarter. They were about 12 yards out of field goal range, and they called for 2 passing plays that were incomplete by Baker Mayfield, and then a 3rd passing play that was intercepted. And then people say, oh, that was pass interference. What was pass interference was the fact that the coaches called for 3 passing plays. You had 200 yards of run in the ground. Doesn't make any sense. So Cleveland let them off the hook. That's the only thing I think about Green Bay, is they were let off the hook by the passing calls for Cleveland that should have run the ball more. They had nearly as many rushing yards as they had passing. That's my opinion. But I do think about the Green Bay, their defense. They've got to figure that out, because they're 25th against the run. No matter how you cut it, they struggle against rushing attacks. You got to look at the good teams with running attacks in the NFL. Dallas can run the football. They have a 2-headed monster. The Rams can run the football. Tampa can run the football. The 49ers, if they face the 49ers in the playoffs with that run team, it came down to a 50-yard field goal when they beat the 49ers in San Francisco, Levi Stadium. I was there opening season for the 49ers at home. But they have touchdown Aaron Rodgers. And talking to touchdown Aaron Rodgers, and after the game, I remember asking him, what makes it seems so effortless when you throw the football? Not the biggest, not the fastest. He said it's muscle memory. It's not weightlifting, it's muscle memory. Touchdown Aaron Rodgers has that. He had it at Pleasant Valley High School in Chico, had it at Butte College, had it at Cal Berkeley. I saw him complete 23 in a row against USC down in the Coliseum when Pete Carroll had the Trojans winning the national championship. Went on to beat, I think they beat Oklahoma 55-19 in that national championship game in the Orange Bowl. But when I think about how accurate he is, he makes good decisions. He's calm under pressure. Relax is what he says. He has a broken toe. He doesn't care. They got some hurt no more that he puts on it. He acts like he's a young kid, but he's 38 years old. And I think he's up for league MVP. And, I mean, the guy's only thrown 4 interceptions this year. But, I mean, that's what I think. And I'm one person. Everybody has their own thoughts about who's going to be the MVP, who's going to win the Super Bowl. But right now, MVP, you gotta realize there's probably 2 people in the class right now, maybe 3. But I'm going to go with the one best quarterback right now in the NFL. I'm going to say the NFL's best team right now, according to Big C Sports. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are back, and I believe they're talk of, well, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. So many mainstream media said that they're not going to make the playoffs this year. Patrick Mahomes is throwing too many interceptions. All of that garbage. Just relax. They're a very good team. When you think about how their defense is legit now. Their offense was still moving the ball at will, and they were just knocking people off the line. But they did have a lot of bad turnovers. It wasn't all touchdown Patrick Mahomes. Some balls were being hit by the receivers in the hands. Ball bounces in the air as opposed to the ground, interception. They made some key changes on the defensive side of the ball, which turned the tide for their season. I think their offense did get a bit rough, kind of little rough edges around the corner, but they smoothed it over. I think Kansas City, under Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, in the league right now, they're the best team. I think they have the most talented quarterback in all of football right now. And he's just starting to find his groove. He's just starting to get his groove back. And that's touchdown Patrick Mahomes. He's just starting to hit his stride for the 2021 season. I think they deserve the top spot in Big C's NFL Power Rankings and head into Week 17. And for people that say, oh, that's too many football games, we don't need that much football, I like that we have football. I like that Big C's NFL Power Rankings is still going strong. So that's my Big C's NFL Power Rankings for the 2021 season. The next Power Rankings I'll bring you is in New Year's in 2022 when I say, let's get ready to rumble with Big C's NFL Power Rankings. That's my spot, and I'm sticking to it. I'm going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. When I come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some football in the NBA basketball schedule. In the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 20 podcast applications all over the universe. We appreciate that. We talk about COVID and how people have their own thoughts about COVID and how to wear a mask and not wear a mask. The Holiday Bowl was just canceled with UCLA and North Carolina State in that game. I mean, everybody has their own thoughts about what to do about COVID and how our society is going to deal with it. We know airline cancellations have happened, but UCLA pulled out of the Holiday Bowl today due to COVID-19 protocols, and North Carolina State, of course, they're from the South, and they're thinking, why cancel? It's just COVID. But you just got to read more, okay? Some people don't believe in COVID, even though I can't get into how some people just don't trust doctors. But with UCLA pulling out of the game today because they read a lot more in the Pac-12 conference, obviously. And I just want to say the Holiday Bowl between UCLA and North Carolina State not going to be played today because of positive COVID cases in the UCLA Bruins defensive line. And it was announced today would not participate. In less than 5 hours before the game was scheduled, the Bruins were down to just 2 interior defensive linemen. Isn't that something? That was yesterday. So today they threw in the towel. When you think about it, the Holiday Bowl in San Diego, these teams have not played since 1960. So no matter how bad North Carolina State coaches, Dave Duran was not happy about the way the cancellation went down. What is he, dumb? Just read the news. Read the freaking news, man. Life's more important than football. But that's a Southern mentality from South Carolina. It's all fair and love and war. I wish everybody healthy. People are going home for their families for the New Year's and just got through Christmas holiday. And so people have tested positive. Sometimes people gathered around elderly people who will probably test positive coming up soon. But you can't tell people what to do because people do what they want to do. That's the way it is in America. You do what you want to do. Who cares what the doctors think? But I just hope that everybody turns out well. I really do. Because we all have hope and belief that everything that we're doing is going to do the best for our society. But when you have the cancellation of a bowl game, sometimes people are acting like, I can't believe you're canceling a football game. It's just a game. That's all it is a game. But there are a lot of older Americans that are around young college kids too, and you want to try to keep them healthy, but not everybody sees it that way, so they may complain, I can't believe you're canceling a football game over COVID. What a knucklehead, the coach for the Carolina program. But the smarter minds prevail over at UCLA, and they decide they're not going to play in that game, and I'm all fine with that too. I want to just close out on the NBA schedule tonight for a beautiful Tuesday, December 28th, 2021. Defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks, they're at Orlando. Game's already underway. Washington is at Miami, and the game's on NBA TV down there in the heat. 76ers of Philadelphia at the Toronto Raptors. Game's already underway. They're the LA Lakers at Houston, and the Lakers better beat Houston. That's all I got to tell you. The New York Knicks, they're at Minnesota, taking on the Timberwolves. The Cleveland, this is for you. The Cleveland Cavaliers down in New Orleans, taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. And the OK City Thunder are in Sacramento, taking on the Sacramento Kings. And then the Denver Nuggets are at the Golden State Warriors at beautiful Chase Center in Northern California. So beautiful Golden One Center in Northern California, and Chase Center is tipping off. And just a moment. Basketball is amazing. I hope that everybody can stay safe. I know the Golden State Warriors, they got a couple of players off the COVID protocol, and maybe all stay safe through the new year coming up this year. I know some people want to play sports no matter who has COVID. It's all trend level work. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? Could you imagine if Ali's fighting Frazier and Layla Ali gets in the ring and helps Frazier beat up Ali? Like, aren't you on my side? Whose side are you on? What did Goose say to Maverick in Top Gun? He said, you may not like your teammates. They may not like you, but whose side are you on? A lot of people can listen to that story. My beautiful mother always says there's no excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know anybody going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help, because no one should ever have to put up with that garbage on their own. And I gotta get to this part too. Ollie said, I'm so pretty, I'm pretty. I float like a butterfly, I sting like a bee because I'm light on my feet with all these big cheeseburgers. They make me rumble, young man rumble. Whatever it is. Hey, I told you I'm producing my own show. ESPN nominated. Oh, I want to tell everybody, be safe going into the new year. As we always tell you, thanks for following Big C Sports all around the universe. We thank you. We appreciate you. And we hope that you have a super fantastic day. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble.